I'm just starting the recording now.
Yeah, I'm just gonna meet up with one of my other friends maybe later after this, and then I'll probably try to get a Windows and partition my drive on my Mac.
Okay, all right. Yes, Bing Ho. Yeah, your mic from your laptop is not going to be usable. If you have to ask a question, it has to be, it has to be asked using the Q&A feature in Live Meeting. If you need to be really on the phone and asking it, then you need to dial into the conference bridge. Okay, so that should answer that question of yours. Is there anything being shared on the screen? No, not yet. I'm going to be sharing shortly. I'm looking at the Q&A, right? Others can see also the Q&A, being asked by the attendees here. Now you guys should be able to see my screen. Okay. Okay. Can one of you respond back if you're able to see my screen?
Yeah, I can see your screen.
Excellent. Okay. Shri, you're having trouble logging into SAP. That's okay. We're not there yet. You'll get there. Okay. Khalid, yes, we'll provide details through Yahoo Group on where the recordings are going to be placed, etc., and how we use them. So we'll be covering all of this.
Khalid Hamid
has joined the conference.
All right. Amol, do we have everyone you're expecting for today, or should we wait before we get started?
Well, Ajay, I think we can start now.
All right. All right. All right, so good morning, everyone. We're going to get started with, give me a second here, duplicate. All right, so we're going to get started with the SAP HANA and Netweaver System Administration training. Today, we're going to have an introduction and orientation session, essentially to whet your appetite a little bit about what we're going to be covering and give you a good introduction of the material.
Hello?
Has left the conference.
Okay. And again, some of the things which I have mentioned around the etiquette for the meeting, right? Please follow it. Keep your phones on mute unless you have a question. Avoid echo by not having your phone off mute and the speaker of your laptop on at the same time. Right? If you do not have a question, or if you have questions which can be asked via text messaging, right, then use that feature in live meeting. You don't need to be on the phone. All the sessions are going to be recorded, both audio and video, which you will be able to use. Okay. And I know we have 16 of you, including myself and Amol, so essentially 14 prospective students for this course. Welcome all of you. What we're going to do from an agenda perspective
Has joined the conference.
Is the following. I will be going through this welcome. I'm going to talk about the background of Coach, my background, what is SAP Introduction to HANA, the course content, the syllabus which we're going to be covering, the training material we're going to use, our unique training methodology, why SAP basis specifically on HANA, SAP GUI installation and connectivity to the SAP servers. And then we're going to spend some time on SAP technical architecture and a few transactions just to get our hands dirty and to appreciate the material and the depth with which we're going to cover it. Some frequently asked questions, and then finally wrap up with Q&A session. We expect this to go roughly 2.5 to 3 hours, right? Depending upon the amount of questions we have, and if we get stuck somewhere in the middle, right? So somewhere in that vicinity, and we'll take 1 or potentially 2 small breaks in the middle, so that we are able to absorb the material well. While I'm talking, if you put any questions in the Q&A session, if it's critical for what I'm talking, I'll try and answer it then. If not, I'll just hold off on them and answer it later. If there's something more material for Amol, specifically around your ability to hear, see the material, and get connected, he will work with you offline to make sure that that happens. Okay. Right. So from Coach perspective, obviously we are an SAP consulting services company. Been in business since 1998. This slide is a little dated. We are close to 125 consultants. 25 odd, key clients across which we provide services. Partners with SAP, with Amazon Web Services, IBM, HP more recently. With Microsoft, we have signed up a gold partnership. We are affiliated with State of New Jersey in the U.S. as a minority-owned business and a small business enterprise. Headquartered here in Ramsey, New Jersey, we have a solution delivery center in Gurgaon, India. That's where Amol works out of. And then we have a regional headquarter in New Delhi, India. A lot of what we are doing now over the last 2 years has been SAP on the cloud, right? So that's the new wave for people who are current with technology. Cloud resident technologies are at the forefront, and same is the case with SAP as well. A lot of our new business, close to 95% of it, is originating in the cloud space. And we'll talk more about it. Here is some of our partial client listing, only partial. We have worked in all industry verticals, from Fortune 50 companies to Fortune 1000 companies. Obviously, being in the SAP space, you tend to work more with bigger companies because they are the ones who have these massive ERP systems and can afford to run them. So as you will see, Accenture in the services sector, Kraft in the CPG sector, Sharon Plow in the medical and healthcare sector, UPS in logistics, Home Depot in retail, so on and so forth, right? Our business model is actually no different from that perspective from any other consulting company. Vision is, SAP technology services. We've got, this slide is also somewhat dated. We currently have 23 major service offerings. A lot of them are SAP related. Some of them are cloud related. Which you will see on our website. From a strategy perspective, our goal is to provide technology solution offerings and provide vertical integration within our talent pool. So we hire, train, deploy, develop, and retain our resources, and that gives us the ability to sustain the delivery work at our clients. We are partners with SAP, IBM, HP, Amazon Web Services, Microsoft now. Customers tend to be large businesses and medium businesses. We've got a number of vendors we work with. We maintain a good database of those and independent consultants. And similarly, we have got a W-2 and a contractor pool, which makes up our workforce, right? So very similar to some of the other consulting companies out there, right? But with focus on SAP and cloud. This, is a short list of some of our solution offerings. This has increased now to, in the next version of our website, this will be visible as well, close to 23 service offerings. Here, what we list are the ones which are in the SAP space. Architect SAP is our SAP technical architecture, strategy, and design solution offering. Remote SAP is our best sure SAP Netweaver Systems Administration offering. Manage SAP is SAP Solution Manager, implementation and consulting offering. Turbo SAP is for SAP Performance Management. Assure SAP for quality assurance, automated testing in the SAP space. Secure SAP for SAP Security Design and Administration. Train SAP for SAP Technical Training. This particular training happens to be under the auspices of that service offering, but it's not only limited to public training like this, but also more client-specific training modules being delivered on-site. And then Consult SAP, which covers your one-off staff augmentation requests. So that's our Consult SAP training offering. Instructor background, we have actually 2 instructors providing this course, different batches. In this batch, I'll be teaching it. I've given details around my LinkedIn profile here for those who are keen to look at that, right? While that loads up. In the meantime, so I've got 20 plus years of IT experience, including number of years at Big 5 management consulting firms, Pricewaterhouse, Accenture, Deloitte as well. 16 plus years of SAP Basis, project management, team lead, administration, architecture experience. Number of SAP ERP engagements, 12 plus, 5 in BW space, 4 solution manager, couple in APO, supply chain management, enterprise portal, process integration, business objects, PPC. Of these, 5 are full lifecycle implementation. That means from the development of business case till the time the implementations are live. I'm a certified SAP technical consultant, with certification from SAP, MBA and a master's from Tier 1 universities at US, and then, more than 15 plus years delivering professional education in SAP and quality assurance, right? And then, for those who are keen, can look at my profile, it's on LinkedIn, some of the references, so on and so forth. More important is this, I failed to mention that last year in 2016, we were listed by the CIO magazine as 20 most promising SAP service providers, right? So you will see a write-up on it. It's on the banner of my LinkedIn profile as well. So the education background, publications and all, you will see as well. Not that it's relevant to this material, but I did my master's in electrical engineering from Drexel University, MBA from Stern Business School at New York University, and prior to that, my engineering from VIP in India, Village of Technology in India. Some of my research work, I've got 3 IEEE presentations, right, very proud of, for those who come from engineering background, would appreciate that, as being published in IEEE. All right, so let's move on. This is Raj's background. This batch he's not teaching, but some batches he teaches, so his background is here in the deck as well, not relevant here at this point.
Your quick support, allow remote support.
Sorry, is that a question? Hello? I thought I heard a question. Okay. Something about remote support, but anyhow, once you get back connected, ask the question again, either through the Q&A forum or over the phone, that's fine. All right.
Has left the conference.
What is SAP? And, I'm sure a lot of people here come from different backgrounds. It happens to be a German acronym. The translation of that in English is Systems, Applications, and Products in Data Processing, right, is really what it means. Practitioners do not call it SAP. They call it SAP, so be cognizant of that, right? Always call it as SAP, not as SAP. It's world's leading provider of enterprise application software and delivers products and services that help accelerate business innovation for more than 183,000 customers in 130 plus countries, and that number keeps going up every year. It was founded in 1972 by 5 former IBM employees, used by 80+% of the Fortune 500 companies. Let me just make sure the recording is indeed on. Yes, it is. Sometimes I tend to forget it. Make sure you guys check with me so that I don't do that. SAP Business Suite is the cornerstone or the flagship product of SAP. It consists of 5 products which are listed here. Of those, the most critical one is ERP, Enterprise Resource Planning, also called as ECC, Enterprise Core Component. And then also part of the business suite is SCM for supply chain management, CRM for customer relationship management, SRM for supplier relationship management, and finally PLM for product lifecycle management. So 5 key products which make up the SAP Business Suite. There are a number of TLAs, 3-letter acronyms, as in any IT coursework, but more specifically in the SAP space. And you will continue to see these on and off. They typically make it difficult for the competition to keep up to speed with SAP, but we are here to kind of teach you and make it simpler for you. So if you look at the SAP Business Suite, which we talked about, ERP, the core flagship product, also called as ECC, Enterprise Central or Enterprise Core Component. In it, there are a number of modules, and a lot of you individuals or some of you might have heard about these modules, like FICO, or sometimes called FICO for Finance and Controlling, SD for Sales and Distribution, MM for Material Management, PP for Production Planning, HR for Human Resources, DS for Project Systems, WM for Warehouse Management, and then there are others, right? This is just to kind of give you a sense. Then we have Supply Chain Management. It was earlier called APO for Advanced Planning and Optimizer. It also has in it various modules like DP for Demand Planning, SNP for Supply Network Planning, SNC for Supply Network Collaboration, TPVS for Transportation Planning, Vehicle Scheduling. So another SAP product. And then we got CRM. Similarly, and I have not listed here, but similarly it's got modules in it. This is for customer relationship management, facing the customer. Similarly, facing the vendor or the supplier, there is supplier relationship management. And then to manage the life cycle of your products, like whatever product the company makes and sells, you have PLM. Obviously, the use of PLM is more prevalent in manufacturing companies which actually manufacture a physical product, right, where PLM makes more sense. SAP Netweaver, you must have heard of this word a lot. It is a framework within SAP which has in it a WAS, a web application server, business intelligence, and this term keeps changing between BI and BW, business intelligence and business warehouse, XI for exchange infrastructure, which was previously called PI for process integration, EP, Enterprise Portal, MDM for Master Data Management, right? So these make up the Netweaver stack. And outside of what you see in Netweaver and what you saw in the core 5 SAP products which make up the SAP Business Suite, you have other products as well, like Solman, which is for Solution Manager, EPC for Business Planning and Consolidation, BO or BobJ for Business Objects. Business Objects itself has got a number of sub-products in it, and Business Objects was a big acquisition for SAP. I think at this point, probably 10 years ago. So you've got Business Objects Enterprise, which has got Webby, Web Intelligence, Excelsius, Crystal Reports, etc. as part of it. BODS, which is Business Objects Data Services, federation engine, so on and so forth. GRC, which is governance, risk and compliance, which is a security offering, security and controls offering from SAP. A lot of move is towards SOA, services-oriented architecture. And again, this is where a lot of the web services originate from, REST web services. I think somebody on the phone, might want to keep us on mute. You can hear a lot of background noise, please. People who are on the phone, please put me on mute till you have a question. Okay. I think we still have somebody who does not have it on mute. Everyone who's on the phone, please put me on mute. Thank you. Introduction to HANA. SAP HANA is a modern in-memory database and platform that is deployable on-premise or in the cloud, right? And in this course, even though it's a basis course, we're going to be learning it on both databases, Oracle as well as HANA, with focus more on HANA. And why is that critical is because of SAP's focus on HANA, on in-memory processing, and some of the things which you see here. If you look at MIPS, which is an acronym, does anybody know what does the acronym MIPS stand for? MIPS? Okay, I see one answer. Yes. So what does it stand for? No, it's not megabytes per second. MIPS, M-I-P-S. Yeah, it stands for millions of instructions per second. That's how you measure CPU's capabilities, right? So if you see here how have things evolved from 0.05 MIPS capability, right, per, which you could buy per dollar, right, in 1990 to 2012, which is when, they're benchmarked, right, from 0.05 going to 304, it's a 6,000 time improvement in your ability to buy CPU speed for the same dollar amount. Similarly, memory, right? The cost of memory has, from 0.02 megabytes per dollar to in 2012 to 52 is roughly a 2,600 times improvement. But the big improvement which you see is in the addressable memory space, where it went from 2 times 2 raised to the power 16 to 2 raised to the power 64. That's 2 raised to the power 48, right? The huge number is how much memory you can address and make use of, right? And that is what lays the foundation to say that, okay, if that's what we can do now, that makes running the whole database in memory very achievable. And why do we want to do it? Is because the improvement in this space has been very negligible, right? The disk transfer rate, that means if your database was running on disk, it has improved in 22 years from 1990 to 2012 only 124 times, right? So compared to, what you have achieved in other areas, this is a very small amount where this happens to be the most glaring advancement, right? And hence, HANA. Okay. So, and what's the focus? Why do most of the people use it? It's fast data exploration, query, and analytics capability, followed by ease of implementation, but primarily it is fast data exploration, query, and analytics capability. Why? Because you can address every single byte of your database in real memory. And obviously the key statement happens to be disk speed is growing slower than all other hardware components while the need for speed is increasing. And because of this limitation, HANA came into being. So this is very important to understand, right? How and why was it even put in place? It can run on, so Khalid, it can run on cloud, so can Oracle, right? So that's not the difference. It is a DB like Oracle, but the big difference is that it's in memory and it's built grounds up. Obviously proponents of Oracle would argue that Oracle 12c also has got a lot of in-memory capabilities, and that philosophical discussion will continue. But HANA was built to run in memory, right? And it's the acronym HANA stands for High Performance Analytical Appliance, right? So High Performance Analytical A for Appliance.
Hey Ajay, I have a question.
Yes.
So if you go back to your previous slide, right? So I understand you're talking about the disk transfer rate, but I was in a presentation with EMC, and the new model they have is they are presenting the flash drive, right? So where your database can process faster instead of putting the stuff in cache, right? So
yeah.
I think the disk transfer rate is much higher when it comes to the flash disk, which is coming in new storage areas, right?
Yeah. So that's a very good. And who's this, please?
This is Fahad.
Fahad, yeah. So that's a good point from Fahad. So in a lot of the new storage area network technology, the disk transfer rate is being addressed by actually eliminating disk and making it all flash. Flash means what? It is memory. Right, so making it all flash arrays, that means that using memory in this space to make your storage area network and your storage appliances work faster. And EMC has bought a company called XIO, Extreme IO, which gives them this capability of having all flash arrays. And it uses an InfiniBand network between what's called bricks. And these bricks can be as big as, as small as 10 terabytes to as big as 40 terabytes, at least the last time I looked at that technology. However, the key difference there is, yes, disk has been changed or replaced by memory, and hence your transfer rate is increasing, but still that is not addressable memory. That means, and this is where the next slide will, bring this to our advantages or to our understanding is, when you have a directly addressable memory from CPU, you just work much, much faster, as opposed to if it is in your IO subsystem. And again, the reason, this data is 2012, so some of these XIO, right, all flash drives have really come into being in the last 3 to 4 years, right? And all major vendors have it now, right? Whether it is EMC, Hitachi, IBM, HP, etc. But the addressable space, right, is very important. Is that where do you keep data vis-a-vis your CPU? How close is it to the CPU? And that's what we're going to see now. So, performance bottlenecks, right? So it's really a solution to eliminate performance issues, right? So SAP HANA enables to perform real-time OLAP. OLAP stands for Online Analytical Processing, i.e. data warehousing type of applications, to perform real-time OLAP analysis or an OLTP data structure. As a result, you can address today's demand for real-time business insights by creating business applications that previously were neither feasible nor cost-effective. So that means you're doing real-time data analysis for things, which were previously not even possible, right? Means the kind of things which we do real-time today are coming because of technologies similar to this. You don't need to pull data overnight into a data warehouse to do analytical kind of analysis, right? You are able to do it more real time. Like if you look at Uber is doing its pricing based upon demand on real time. That means they're able to look at their demand in a given demographic sector for cab rides and, price accordingly, right? If you look at all traditional industries, demand forecasting could only happen the next day, the next week, the next month, right? But this is possible all because of being able to look at data real time. Just as an example. So if you look at the CPU, the closer you keep your data, right, to the CPU, the better off you are. So the closest you can keep data to your CPU is level 1 cache. That almost sits on the CPU chip. You are able to pull data in 2 nanoseconds. But as you go down here to level 2 cache, to level 3 cache, to main memory, to solid state memory, to disk, you see that how many cycles the CPU needs to expend. 4 cycles versus 1,000,000 cycles. And if each cycle is roughly half a nanosecond, right, you can just see how much difference there is. So I think to Fahad's original point, even if I increase the speed of this disk to be like memory, the fact that it sits further away from my CPU, there is additional time spent here, additional time spent here, spent here, spent here. Even this is fast, it's not good enough because it is so far from the CPU, and in each of these layers there is additional cycles of CPU to be processed. And hence, the more data you keep in main memory, the better off you are. I mean, if you can put it in the CPU chip itself, but we are not there yet in technology, right? Because at least in main memory we can go up to terabytes, right? In level 1 cache we are still only in kilobytes, what we can put there. So most of the current databases are in terabytes, so this solves, if I can get terabytes in main memory at a relatively cheap price, and I'm spending only 100 to 400 cycles, only X 100 difference versus this is 250K difference. Right? So that's the foundational theory behind introducing something like HANA. A lot of people spend a lot of years in HANA, but if you ask them the basic premise, why it was built, what it delivers, they're not able to correlate this. Obviously, if you have an engineering mindset, you will pick this up better. Okay. So, how does HANA do what it does, right? And this is where, why keeping something in real memory lets you retrieve data faster and use it more effectively for analytical processing. Comes from the fact that if we look at some raw data like this, right? So this is simply saying what? For different countries, in this case 3 different countries, we are selling 2 different products, and how much sales did we have? Like in this case, in US product alpha, we sold 3,000 units, right? So this is a very simple example. It doesn't tell in which month or which year, but doesn't matter, right? So in some time period, in US product alpha sold 3,000 units. In a traditional database, as in online transaction processing, in a traditional database, based on ANSI SQL, you would keep or store data as rows, right? So this would become row 1, row 2, row 3, row 4, right? And also as human beings, we tend to look at it like that, right? And this is what is a row store. However, computers are better if things are stored as a column store, right? That means don't store it like this. Store it like this. So if you store it like this, right? This is the first column, US, Japan, UK, right? This is the second column. This is the third column. So number one, what happens is, if you look at a bigger data set, you will see that if you store it like this, you cannot compress it effectively because each field is going to be different. If you store it like this, you can compress it very well, because as you see here, you'll say, oh, store US 2 times. Store alpha 2 times consecutively, right? Here you might not see any similarities, but in country and product, you're going to see a lot of similarities. If you have 1 million rows, you don't have 1 million countries in the world, right? You might only have 100 countries and 10 million rows, so you can have a lot of compression going on. And a lot of the math you typically tend to do is that, what is my total sales, right? What is my average sales, right? So that kind of analysis only happens on this one column, right? Or tell me what is the average for alpha, what is the average for US, right? So all of those become much easy if you go against column store. And in HANA, it has the benefit of storing data both ways, row store and column store. Certain tables you can store it as row, certain tables as column. And again, I'm not teaching you right now, right? It's an orientation session, so keep that in mind. I want to kind of cover a wide variety of things relatively quickly so that you know what you're getting into, right? And also you appreciate who's going to teach you, how is he or she going to teach you, and what kind of material is going to be shared, right? Because that's all important once you make this critical decision on that, yes, is this right for me or not. Here is our landscape, which we are going to use for teaching purposes. So it is a VPC. Does somebody know what a VPC means?
virtual private network?
Sorry?
It's virtual private network kind of thing on Amazon.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a virtual private cloud. It's not a VPN, but yes, it is on Amazon. So it gives you the ability of having a private cloud environment in Amazon. So what you're seeing here is that you're going to be taught this whole course on the cloud, right? Very few places will give you this capability, right? So you guys will be sitting here, you'll be sitting here and accessing on AWS our systems, right? So, and you've got a number of systems running. We have a SAP BW system running on HANA, right? This is the SAP BW system running on HANA, right? That's what it says. This is a system we'll be doing most of our work in. We have a SAP ECC system running on Oracle, right? Oracle. We're going to do a lot of work in these two systems. The reason we picked these two systems is, number one, you will get a flavor of working on the cloud. Number two, you will be using both the databases HANA as well as Oracle. And you will be connecting to this through Internet. And I'll take some time to show you our Amazon Web Services setup. Okay. So if we bring up...
Hey Ajay, quick
Yeah.
question. So if you go back to your previous slide where you were showing the architecture,
Yeah.
it looks good. So just quick question. In enterprise platforms, like if you go outside the world, like where bigger companies are implementing SAP, do they tend to put HANA on BW and Oracle on the ECC side? Is it the normal practice?
No. That's how things started. Why? Because there's bigger bang for the buck for HANA on data warehousing platforms than on OLTP platforms, right? So you will see this to be more common, but it is changing. You know, a lot of ECC systems are going on HANA as well. So if you go back to this slide, and this is not clear, but it's saying fast data exploration, query, and analytics capabilities, right? That means BW. Most of the people, 69% are using it for that purposes. Right? So that's because that's where you need the speed. And that's where you benefit from column store. Right? However, even though that was the entry point for SAP in the HANA space is to go after BW, right now anything and everything SAP produces is supported on HANA, including ECC. We happen to run ECC on Oracle. We just chose it like that, right? There was no specific reason for it. Maybe cost was a reason, when we ran it, because ECC database size is bigger, and, we didn't want to invest in that big of a, memory footprint. So that's why we chose it this way for training purposes.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Sure. Right. And I was about to go to Amazon.com EC2, right? Sign into my console. EC2 is Elastic Cloud Generation 2, right? It's a compute platform from Amazon. If I go here, this is our account. Currently, we have got At this point in time, we've got 3 running instances. There are various instances we have. Up here, sorry, let me arrange this a little bit here. There are a number of instances, and the beauty is that I can keep them down when I'm not using them, right? They're in a stop state. When I want to use them, I fire them up. So right now, this is the ECC instance, right? This is the one we just had a question on, which is running Oracle. And this is the other one, which is running HANA. If I look at the one which is running HANA, it's a 2x large instance, right? Why? Because it needs more memory. I can look at the details of it, right? It is, all of these are the details behind it, right? It's public IP address, right? So public IP address is 54.227.245.127. Amazon provided public IP address. It has an internal IP address as well. This is the internal IP address, not visible to the world outside. This is visible to the world outside. It's running on Amazon AWS. You already know that by this fully qualified domain name. Running on Linux. It is secure using a key pair. You cannot log into it without knowing this key pair at the OS level. The block device is attached to it, storage attached to it. Right? And it is R3 2x large instance type. So when we look at Amazon's different storage, right? So if I say Amazon EC2 VM types, I'll be able to see the different Amazon VM types, instance types, sorry, right here. Right, so these are the different ones. If I go down here, R4 instances, sorry here, R3 instances are optimized for memory intensive applications. That's why we're using it for HANA. And we are using this guy, right? So R3 2x large. So it has got 8 virtual CPUs and 61 gigabytes of RAM, right? That's why we're using it, because we wanted higher real memory, right?
That's for BW also, right? Or just for ECC?
Yeah, you can use it for BW as well, right? In our case, we don't have 2 large cubes in there for training purposes. So 61 gigs made sense. If you are running a production system, production HANA system, then you would use this X1. This is specifically designed for HANA. And you see the main memory goes up to 2 terabytes. Right? This is 1 terabyte. This is 2 terabytes of, this is not disk, guys. This is memory. Right? And here you would see the use case, right? If you read the use case briefly, we recommend X1 instances for running in-memory databases like SAP HANA. Big data processing engines like Apache Spark or Presto and high-performance computing. X1 instances are certified by SAP to run Business Warehouse on HANA, right? And also Business Suite on HANA. And SOH Suite on HANA. That means this is where Suite on HANA means Business Suite products, right? And which are the 5 Business Suite products we learned about? ECC, SCM, CRM, SRM, and PLM. So all of them are supported. SOH means Suite on HANA. Business Suite on HANA. Okay? So this gives you an example, so this one is 8 CPUs and 61 gigs of RAM. This one, on the other hand, is smaller. This is where we are running ECC system, and this is an M3 medium. Right? This is an M3 medium. It also has a public IP address, private IP address running RGL. And if we look at M3 medium in here, M3 medium, is it M3 medium? So let's go back. Yeah, M3 medium. So M3 medium is only 1 CPU and 4 gigs of RAM roughly. Somehow, I don't think it is M3 medium. But that's what it says.
It wouldn't be so small, right?
Yeah, I think for some, but it says M3 medium. For some reason, I think it would be a little larger than that. But that's what M3 medium is stated as. Unless there's a typo here in this website. But we can check it. This is M3 medium, right? We actually have a log on to the system, right? This is SAP GUI. Right, I'm running SAP GUI 740. This is the ECC system, right? If I log on to this, again, I'll show this a little bit more to you guys, but let me just log on to it. This is running on that server, and there is a special transaction. You can go to SDO6, which will tell me the actual memory footprint, and that's the reason I came here, and I think they're right. It is
quick question.
It is 4 gigs. So that's what it's running on actually.
I have a quick question.
Yes.
The term, when you say 8 CPUs, that's the same term as cores, right? Just to make sure.
It's 8 vCPUs. So because it's a virtualized environment, right? So that's how the virtualization engine is carving them out. In most of the cases, it maps to cores in a physical CPU.
Okay.
But not necessarily. So it is like, it's like VMware uses the concept of a vCPU.
Okay.
Right? That's why this word this V is important here, right? This is virtualized CPU.
Right.
Okay. All right, so let's switch back to, that's our landscape. So you kind of seen, it's on the cloud, and it's on the cloud doesn't mean that I cannot access it at the OS level, right? So that IDES system, which is, if I load it up, right, this was the IP address of it, right? 107.22.183.1. Here, right, this is the public IP address. I can connect to it through PuTTY. If I have with me, sorry. If I have with me the right authorization certificates attached, right? Like in this case, here is the private key which I have provided, right? It's only on my machine sitting. Private key PPK, code PPK file. If I have that file, I have the private key authorization to connect to it, right? So if I go here, I just load this and say open. Since I have that private key authorization, it's going to connect to my EC2 instance. It is doing it right now. You see this public private key, right? It's authenticating with that. And once the authentication is complete, which it's now, I'm connected at the OS level, right? So I can do all Unix commands here, right? ls-al. Right. So this is on the cloud. I'm connecting over pure internet to the RP2 SID. I can see RP2 ADM is the administrative user for the RP2 SID. I can actually see my PS-EF, grep my SAP work processes, right? Running. More, right? This is Oracle running, right? It's Oracle. These are all SAP work processes running. Earlier I did uppercase SAP, it was only one showing. If I do lowercase SAP, all of these will show up. Okay? Just kind of give you a sense. Yeah, they're by the hour. Different instances cost different. There is a cost calculator available, which one can use. If you go here, right, we were looking at these different instances, instant types. You can go to pricing instead. So if you go to pricing, you can have on-demand instances, see on-demand pricing, right? So on-demand is how we use it. So if I say I want to run our HANA instance, you know what's the cost for it, right? So it's running RHEL. We are running it in the US East data center. And we are using R3 2X large. So it is 80 cents an hour. Right? It's not cheap, right? Because this is it's a big system, right? 8 CPUs. That's why I shut it down when it's not really being used, because it's roughly $20 a day, right? Running 24 hours. But you can run it only for the hours you need it. On the other hand, the The M3 medium is much cheaper. It is 12 cents an hour. Right, so it's one-fifth the cost.
A question regarding HANA.
Yes.
Yeah. So they say compression from this disk to when the HANA is booting up or loading up, the compression rate from the disk to the memory it makes a big difference. So is that compression same as the example that you gave on the fifth slide?
That depends on your data, right? So what kind of data you are keeping, right? Because if you've got data which has got no duplication, then it cannot compress. It needs to see duplication and then it will compress. So that's why when people look at compression in HANA, they have to kind of look at their own data. But it compresses much better than other databases does. And it's not only compressing, that's one way, right, to look at it, but that's the most common way to look at it, which is there data duplication. There are certain other algorithms built in as well, and some of them are not publicly made available, right, because that's proprietary technology. But the big one is that when you do column store and all, there's duplication of data which you can benefit from.
Okay.
Right?
So it becomes only half of the data that is on the disk. I mean, that's what I read. So it says if it's 1 TB,
not necessarily. No. It does not. I've not seen 50%. Because see, if you're keeping demographic data, right, on and there's one field in there which is male, female, right? One can say, oh yeah, that column is going to, we're going to benefit from it significantly because it can be either male or female, right? But not all data is like that, right? It depends on how many columns you have which have got duplication in data, etc., right? But it really depends. It goes up, I've seen it, 20-30% compression is very common to see.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, I've not seen, at least at the clients we are at, we have not seen 50% yet.
Okay.
And we have implemented HANA at at major Big 5 audit firms, CPG companies, high-tech companies, right? In most of the cases, around 20-30% compression.
Okay.
Right? Sure. See, there's a question from Khalid. I think I answered this question. Yes, there's another one. Please go ahead.
This is Khalid again. I was going to ask you, so how many companies are there which are using cloud-based HANA? Because if it's that expensive, I bet small businesses are not running this. And what's the difference between a large instance and a medium instance using 1 CPU versus 8 CPUs?
Yeah. So, I'll answer your last question first, right? So, CPUs, it depends on what kind of processing power you need, right? So, we are using M3 medium, right? 1 CPU. That means, if I put too much workload on it, we're going to go to 100% CPU utilization, right? So, you have to do a sizing based upon how many users are going to access your system, how much data are you going to have in it, and once you size it, and there are various sizing tools available called Quick Sizer from SAP, which will let you size how many SAPs, which is the SAP standard, SAP Application Performance Standard, which will tell you what kind of system do you need to be able to support that workload. So that was your last question. Your first question was that, is it expensive, right? So if you look at, and I'll show you this because it will be so. Where did the R3 2 extra large, right? I'm paying 80 cents an hour. So the example people give is this is when you go to a restaurant, right? Instead of ordering a bottle of wine, you order a glass of wine, right? So when you pay by the glass, you pay more when you pay by the bottle, right? Because the restaurant needs to be in a position to sell the remainder of the bottle because, they cannot just keep wine for, they have to sell it in the next few hours, right? So if it's a big restaurant, they might be able to. Otherwise, they might waste it, right? So they need to charge you accordingly. So similarly here, right, Amazon has the same philosophy. So this is 80 cents an hour. If I did on-demand pricing, that means on my demand, I just need it for 1 hour, right? And after that, I could terminate. But if you paid attention, instead of on-demand, I went to a reserved instance where I say that, guys, give me a better pricing because I'm going to buy it from you. I'm going to buy it from you, RHEL. Only if it moves. Okay. Let me see. Okay, it's not my browser. Okay, it's moving now. So this is, I'm on reserved instances. Man, the site is slow, so just bear with me. Okay, I think the site is screwed up. Hold on for a second. Let me just go through it again. Is it my browser?
It's okay. You don't have to show us. You can just tell us the estimated price.
No, well, it's important to see. No, it's important to see what I'm talking about. That's the reason I'm focused on that. Maybe this will do a better job, right? So earlier, I just changed my browsers. On demand, I went to reserved instances, see reserved pricing, see reserved pricing, and I want RHEL. Maybe it is really, it's moved. US East, right? And if I go to R3, R3 2 extra large. So you see on-demand pricing, this is what we had seen earlier, 79.80 cents an hour. If I did a 1 year, say I want to use it for 1 year, and I'm going to sign for 1 year, and I'm going to pay all upfront. That means I'll pay $4,229 for that 1 year. I get a 39% savings. Right? It comes down to roughly, effectively, 48 cents an hour. If I sign up for 3 years, I can pay all upfront. I can get 54% savings. So this is reserve pricing. And then they have a spot pricing. Does anybody know what would this mean, spot pricing? So people who have done some commodity trading, they might understand the spot price of gold, right? So this is basically your bidding. You're almost like bidding. See, it says allows you to bid on spare Amazon capacity. Amazon is saying, okay, you know, guys, I've got 3/4 of the bottle of wine, you know, remaining. I'm going to basically put it for sale, right? Happy hour, right? It's, you know, $1 a glass, right? Just because I know it's going to go waste otherwise. So that concept is there as well. So what you guys should learn from this is that this is the future of data center work. 3 years from now, you can take it in writing from me. Your traditional data centers are not going to be there. 3 years from now. It might even be earlier than that. Cloud is going to take over all of that. Just the amount of money being spent in this space is mind-boggling, right? Just imagine, right? There was no reason for Microsoft to choose Satya Nadella, right? Amongst, you know, the executive VP who was running the platform division, right? The Windows division, the Microsoft Office division, right? But they chose the one who was running Azure to be their next CEO because that's where the growth is coming from or is being perceived to come from.
Okay, so Ajay, Amazon is the only one, or is there Google provides the same service, or somebody else?
Yeah, so the big two players in the market today are Amazon and Microsoft. Amazon's service is called AWS, Amazon Web Services. Microsoft's is called Azure. Behind them, I think in the next rung are Google and Oracle and IBM. And then everyone else is much, much smaller. Right? Okay, Fahad's question, Ajay, quick question. How are we going to practice? You guys are going to provide us, oh yes. Yeah, so you will be accessing the same AWS systems to do the exercises, right? You will get access to it, right? So that private key is going to be shared with you. Not only that, our most sophisticated exercise, which is the installation exercise, you are going to get a virtual machine, and you're going to your own dedicated virtual machine, and you're going to start from scratch and build and install the whole thing. Right? And the reason we can do it, and I can do it for each one of you in the class, is because I can spin up 14 of them in no time. Right? You have 14 people right now, or 17 now, so some people have joined recently. Yeah, it's, you know, it takes me no time to spin up, you know, because I have to pay by the hour anyhow, right? So we have budgeted that in the cost of the course. Just give it to you. We give it to you for 3 days to complete your installation of SAP BW on HANA. Okay, so that's Fahad's question. Viral's question. It seems AWS expensive and need to stop instance due to cost. If example one by machine server. Oh, yeah, well, means, yes. See, but that's not means the way you need to look at it is buy the glass or buy the bottle, right? That's the answer. So when you say VMware is cheaper, it is cheaper in the long run. Yeah, but, most of the people, if you look at today's companies, when startups start, they just say, oh, I don't want to worry about 2 years from now. I want to build, I want to do DevOps, I want the system now, and, at least for this 1 month while I'm building, I need to be able to afford it. They look at it from that perspective, and Amazon is giving them that mechanism. And if in a month from now they decide, now we are going to run it on Windows, not on Linux, change it, right? They can easily move. And again, when you look, it's not just the cost of VMware. You have a server room, you have a data center, you got heating, you got venting, you got air conditioning, you got electricity. A lot of those costs add up, right? But at the end, you're right, is that Amazon is a for-profit company. So they are making money off it, right? So it's obviously, it's much cheaper if you own all of it, but can you afford to own all of it, right? So if you come from a financial background, you will understand the difference between CapEx and OpEx. Capital expenditure, one-time expenditure, which you depreciate, versus OpEx, which is operational expenditure, which is expense. Okay. No. No, Scott, that's not the case. Every Fortune 500 company at this point, I would say, categorically has got some footprint in the cloud. How much of it is in the cloud varies, and probably most of them are 5 to 10% in the cloud, right? So what did they move to cloud first? They probably moved their public-facing websites, their external websites to cloud first. Then they moved, a lot of them are moving their email systems to like Office 365, right? Skype, Office 365, OneDrive, Dropbox, right? It's all in the cloud. Means we ourselves use Coach, we use Office 365 now, it's all in the cloud. It runs on Azure, right? So that's where the difference is. They're all doing something on the cloud. It's just the extent at which they're doing, and that's rapidly changing. In fact, if you know anything about Microsoft sells to corporate clients using what's called an EA, Enterprise Agreement. And every year it is up for renewal, or every 3 years, depending on how you're doing it. And in there, now you have to disclose how are you buying cloud capacity from Microsoft. And that means every year Microsoft has an opportunity to sell more cloud. And that's where they're making most of their money, right? It is lucrative for Microsoft because it's subscription-based, right? It's subscription-based revenue. Licensing is handled much better. And even for customers, right? If you don't need it, you don't need it. You just shut it down. If you buy a license from Microsoft Windows Server and you don't need it, you have still bought the license. Too bad. Okay. And now there's this reserve model and all, right? So you can benefit from that as well if you need something for a long duration of time. Or if there's something you need, if I get it cheap, I will use it, otherwise I won't use it, then stop, right? Bid for it, right? Tell what is it worth to you. Bid. Okay? I'll have a glass of wine just because it's too cheap, right? Doesn't sound very well, but that's the statement. All right. Okay. So good. I think we had a good discussion. It'll give you a sense of, how we're going to teach this course as well. Let's go back to our presentation.
Okay, can I ask one question?
Sorry?
Before we go further, can I ask one question?
Yes.
you just said you're going to give us VMware access, virtual machine access, or you're going to give us images to install on our own machines?
No. You're gonna have access to a AWS instance for yourself.
Oh,
VM on
and we will install the whole ECC on it?
Yep, VW on it, not ECC. Because it'll be a HANA exercise, so you'll be doing like in this previous slide, you'll install this whole thing, right? And if you see here, like IH0, I stands for Instructors HANA System 0. If similarly you see T01, Trainees HANA System, right? TH1, Trainees HANA System, right? So these are images, right, which are created for me to copy from and then give it to you guys to start from scratch. And since you have asked, and you know, we would have spent some time on it, but since you asked, we will it's always difficult for me to.
So Ajay, do you see any benefit of installing the ECC as well? If let's say if we do the BW for HANA, right? I know it's the same as WPM installer, but do you see any benefit of doing the ECC install as well?
No, the ECC just runs a little longer and takes more space. Yeah.
Okay. So ECC and BW, they both have similar commands when the login comes up for BW or ECC. Let's say I log into both instances, right? Do they have the similar command, or the command varies for both?
Most of the T codes are similar. So this one here is this one which I logged right into. This is a ECC system running on Oracle. Here, IV0 is a BW system, right? It looks similar. The logon screen came up.
Yeah.
It's similar, right? Now, most of the commands, right? So I did ST06 there. T code, if I do an ST06 here, it will look similar, right? Obviously, here it shows 61 gigs of RAM, right? There it showed 4 gigs of RAM or 3.75 gigs of RAM. Now, if I use certain T codes, like if I do ST04, right? It's a T code which I'm running on this system right now, and I will go to here as well and do ST04. Right, and you see at the bottom it's saying starting DB performance monitor, right? Right, start DB performance monitor. Obviously, what do I see here? First and foremost, this is on RP2. This is a Oracle database, right? The way I know it's an Oracle database, obviously there might be certain things which I just look at here, right? Which will tell me it's an Oracle database. So let's say if I go to space, right? Space overview. If I see the word table spaces and all, I already know, right?
Yeah.
The segments, the table spaces, etc., right? So I can actually see database overview, table spaces, right? So this is already, it gives you an Oracle look and feel, right? Because underlined, so these are the table spaces names, right?
Because also, see, being a basis admin, right? Your manager would expect you to work on both, right? ECC and BW, right? So my only concern was that I know it's the same installer, but what are the difference in the command? I know it's BW is mostly for reporting, but I know you're gonna go in more depth in the architecture probably later. But I was just wondering, is it benefit or does it give some sort of benefit to install the ECC?
Yeah. From an installation standpoint, there's no difference. It's in what gets installed is the difference.
Yes.
Right? So, one has got the concept of cubes, right? Star schema, because that's how you build database cubes, data warehouse cubes, and you run your queries against, right? So that concept is not there in ECC, it's there in BW, right? Performance tuning is different, right? Because to performance tune an OLAP system, which is BW, versus an OLTP system, which is ECC, right? How do you do sizing is different, right? But your common transactions are the same, right? And even if you have to look at the difference, right, it means it all looks very similar. If you go to system status, you will see the components which are installed in the different systems. And by the way, this should have come back here. Oh, sorry. Yeah. This should have come back to right. So see, this look and feel for the same transaction ST04 looks slightly different. This is the HANA look and feel.
Yeah.
For a HANA database, right? And obviously it has got more focus on memory, right? See, 27 gigs of the 53.99 gigabytes is used.
Got it.
Of real RAM. And again, we'll learn more, but that's why we use two systems ourselves, right? We just happen to use ECC on Oracle, BW on HANA, right? To give you both, two products, two different databases running on Linux, right? Both the flavors together. Again, one could then go, okay, you guys are not running anything on SQL Server. We could have done that as well. It's just that, actually for our internal use, we have that as well. That's why BO is running on SQL Server 2014. Right, obviously this is not a BO course, so we are not teaching that, but we got that as well.
So BW being a reporting system, when it pulls data from ECC, is HANA can talk to Oracle?
Yeah, a lot of things can happen, yes. HANA can talk to a lot of different databases in a lot of different ways. Okay, so let's do this now. Let's take we were here, and we are running a little slow, but that's good. We are asking good questions, so I want to make sure that we do that. But we should reduce the amount of questions so that we can finish in 3 hours at this point. So let's take a 10-minute break. I've been talking non-stop. We'll start from slide 17, all right? Unmute.
Are you going to stop the video for that?
Sorry?
I mean,
could you repeat again, please?
are you going to stop the recording for 10 minutes?
I can pause it, yep. I keep running it because if you guys talk about me, then I have a way to find out. But all right, let's get started. Okay, the schedule going forward is going to be Saturdays 9:30 to 5:30, right? Is the schedule. Right.
That's an 8-hour class, right?
Sorry?
It's a class for 8
Sorry,
hours?
could you? Yeah, I couldn't understand. Could you repeat, please?
It is a class for 8 hours, right?
Yes. Yes. Okay. So the course content, we'll be covering SAP Netweaver, AS, implementation and operation, application server. That's what AS stands for. And we are going to be using TADM 10_1, TADM 10_2. Two PDFs. I'm going to show these PDFs to you, and then we're going to be doing SAP Netweaver AS Implementation and Operations 2, which is TADM 12_1, 12_2, and then Oracle Database Administration for SAP, TADM 51, SAP HANA administration, which is HA100, HA200. And this is SAP's training material. So if you look at this, you see the HA200, SAP HANA Introduction, HA200, and then the PADM. So if we open up HA100, for example, right, this is. I think somebody's talking on the phone. Please put us on mute unless it's a question for me.
Yeah, Jay, can you start recording, please?
Yes, recording is on. Thanks.
Thank you.
Right, so this is the material which we'll be covering. Again, this material, as you'll see, right, is lengthy. This just one PDF is 309 pages, right? So you'll see the way we go through it. We're not going to go page by page. I'm going to pick up key topics, especially topics with key diagrams in it, right, which are conceptual in nature. Is what we're going to focus on, because each PDF is in the 300 to 500 page range, and it becomes difficult to do each and every page when you're talking about 7 of them, right? So 7 times 300 to 500 pages each is thousands of pages, right? So we'll be going through material.
Access to all these documents you're looking at?
Yes, you will have access to all of it, correct.
All right, thank you.
Yeah. So this is 100. This is to give you an example of a TADM material, how it looks like, right? Similar, right? So this one is 569 pages, if you see here, right? And you'll see that a lot of this material has got in it diagrams, concepts, and at the end of each chapter, it has got questions, which are important from a certification standpoint. So if you look at each chapter, right, so this has got an exercise. They've got exercises. Exercises we don't recommend you to do, because we have got our own exercises based on the software we have installed and instances we have available, right? But we do recommend you to read through them so that you can get a good sense of the types of questions, right? And then there are certain times questions and multiple choice questions which you can look at as well. Right, so it's very good material, a lot of good diagrams, transactions, menu paths. See, this is again an exercise. It'll help you from the certification standpoint.
Would you also show us the certifications we need to take afterwards?
Yep. Yes, we'll be showing that as well. Okay, so this is the material. Course content will be provided to you. Amol will provide it. You'll essentially get a DVD, right? And this you'll get a DVD, either a physical DVD or an ability to download, depending upon where you are, whether we can ship the DVD or not, right? So one of those two abilities. And this is batch 51 now. So Yahoo group will be set up, and I think this is already set up. Most of you have gotten access to this. That's very important for you to join, because that's the mechanism we use to communicate effectively, providing you with details of what is where, right? Okay, so this is very important for you guys to join. Hands-on exercise, right? So we take pride in our hands-on exercise. We spend a lot of time building these hands-on exercises, and these hands-on exercises we can quickly look at here. Right here. If we go to code training material, training day 1 to day 8. Today is counted as day 0, right? It's orientation sessions, it's not day 1. So if I look at the material, right? The material which we cover in the class, right? Outside of the PDF, SAP PDF, we have our own PDFs, right? So that I have a way to walk through the day. So this is day 1, right? So if I bring this up, you will see the kind of material, we have, right? Again, a lot of this, as I told you, are specific images, graphics, concepts which I want to focus on. The write-up around these are in the SAP PDFs which I showed earlier, right? And in some cases, we have provided that as well, right? So this is the kind of, this is day 1's material, right? Which we are going through here. In addition, we have exercises, right? So each day has an exercise. So if I pick up an exercise, start and stop of SAP is an exercise, right? So this is the exercise. This is how it is built, right? So you'll see it's very professionally built. Right? So you have screenshots, what you need to do at the OS level, what you need to do, any commands which are of importance are in different colors so that you understand it. There is some detail behind it. So this is a start piece. All the commands are listed out. The screenshots are from our system so that it looks similar for you. Right? So very professionally built. So this is one of the exercises which was on start and stop. Okay. This one, this is a big one. This is 109 pages exercise, right? This is the installation, hands-on installation and configuration exercise. That's why it's big. This is the most critical exercise. If you do anything, this is the exercise. And in this case, you see HANA installation, BW installation, right? And how that all goes about, right? With each and every screenshot. Right, this is the SAP installation tool, right, to bring that up, screenshots of the SAP installation tool. Right, and specific key fields which need to be known, when you're putting content in it, and then why are we doing it. SWPM, I think somebody had mentioned about SAP's software provisioning manager, right, which is the tool we will be using to do the installation. Underneath, it's really nothing but a SAP inst command, which was the earlier SAP installation tool, right? But it still calls that internally, right? So all the screenshots are there, right? So very professionally built, right? So that you can really follow it. And as I told you, you'll be doing this on Amazon Web Services, right? So I'm not going to scroll through all, but you know, here are all the 109 pages, right? And at the end of it, you will have your BW system. And there's some troubleshooting things also which we talk about if you get stuck. SAP HANA DB, right? And we feel that people who are able to do this exercise are the ones
Has left the conference.
who really pick up the material. And then, you know, we are also the consulting company. We want to see strong resources. You know, some of you are in US, some of you are in India, right? Strong resources whom we can hire ourselves, right? Because if we spend the time in teaching and training you, you know, we want to also give you guys opportunity, right? And we have those kind of opportunities because consulting is our main business.
Has joined the conference.
So there are multiple exercises. You see all these exercises listed here.
Hey Ajay. Hey Ajay, Fahad,
Yeah.
quick question. Do you think can you cover some use cases where, let's say, users are having performance issues on BW and ECC side, and how do we track it down from app tier to database tier, right? And how do we, you know, at least, how do we have some sort of high-level step that, hey, this is where we should be looking at? Not the solution,
Yeah.
but at least some guidelines, like, hey, this is how I should, you know, start looking into it.
Yeah. So we have, you know, we have got some exercises in that space as well on SAP Performance Management. In fact, that's our company's key focus area as well, right? We have Turbo SAP, which is our service offering. We pride ourselves in our ability to do performance management across all layers, right? Whether
Has
it's
joined the conference.
network, app server, web server, DB layer, you know, infrastructure, disk IO, etc. Okay. Yeah, it's a good question. Yes, and we'll be covering that.
Thank you.
Right, and then I think somebody had asked about certification, right? So from a certification, so custom installation guide, I showed this to you, and the certification exams which we are going to prepare for, right? In pure NetWeaver space with Oracle, you can take that, right? This is the certification exam. Then Certified Technology Associate for HANA, Certified Technology Specialist for HANA, right? So those two certification exams are mentioned as well. These exams, you can go to SAP certification website and, you know, you will find details for this. You know, time to time, the numbers might change slightly, but you will know when you get there, right? You know, as the versions change, the numbers might change. The exams can be taken at you know, SAP. You know, SAP delivers most of their exams through View. You know, and I think we'll talk about that Pearson View a little bit further. Coach itself is a Pearson View delivery center, right? So at least for those people who are in New Jersey, can come to our location itself and take the exam, Pearson View exam as well, since we are a authorized Pearson View testing center as well. Hands-on exercises, HANA installation is there, HANA upgrade is there, BW ABAP installation, BW Java installation, BW ABAP and Java upgrade, system refresh using backup from a different system, client creation, copy, deletion, transport of objects, user role creation, HANA backup and restore, right? All of these are covered, right, in the hands-on exercises, which I showed you briefly, right? And very well structured material in this space is what we're going to use for the purposes of delivering this. So training will be conducted on HANA server, right? So which I've already mentioned, on both ABAP and Java instances, right? So you're going to have both flavors, right? ABAP flavor, Java flavor running on HANA, right? Will be available 24/7 to the systems for students to reference and practice. Opportunity to understand and work on AWS. Opportunity to work on SAP SLT, as well as business objects. This is landscape translation. This is how HANA pulls data from ECC, I think, Fahad, or I think somebody had asked this question on how does data get pulled. So SLT, system landscape translation, is that method. Amongst others, there's BODS as well. Exposure and opportunity to work on multiple DB platforms, right? HANA and Oracle is what we concentrate for business object SQL Server, right? So some of these concepts are important for you to understand in this training material. Unique training approach, Instructor, right? So we are not just having anybody who just learned it teach you, right? We have been practicing in this industry for a long, long time. So a lot of what we teach comes from experience in the industry. And yet at the same time, we are making sure that we are not only talking about experience, we're talking about theoretical concepts as well, so that material is understood well. And then the instruction material, right? We've got SAP's material, we have got our own material on top of it, and we've got our own exercises, and we've got real-time systems available to you. And this is most important, individual installation of on your own server, right? Each student will be doing an SAP BW, ABAP, and Java on HANA database installation as part of the training program. The server, will be given, you'll be given access to them even after the training for 3 months, so that you can still continue to revise practice. You'll be provided access to the training material as soon as you register, right? The training itself is 64 hours, 8 sessions of 8 hours each. 24/7 global access. You are traveling, you're on vacation, you cannot tell me that I can attend the course, right? You can attend from wherever you are. And even if you miss it, you have the recordings, right? The important thing is that you need to have the zeal and the intent to learn. And we have given you everything else. We record every training session. Sorry?
I'm sorry, after 3 months of access, can we buy more access from you?
Yes, you can. At that point, you can buy. Correct. We record every training session, which could not be attended, and those recordings are available to you for 1 year, which is enough, right? In addition, we have a coach placement service offering. A lot of people who are attending these courses are doing it because they need to attend the market, and to attend the market, they need some specialized coaching around placement, right? Obviously, we have already told that we are ourselves interested, in resources who do good. And these 64 hours gives me a good sense and appreciation of how well you have done. But even outside of that, you have the ability to participate in our coach placement service offering, where, we work through the resume preparation, mock interviews, certification, and preparing you for client interviews, and also marketing you, right? If you need that extra exposure on, how does the SAP staffing market work, right? So we would want to do that as part of the KPSO program. Our approach is very school-oriented. You will have weekly homeworks. You will have weekly in-class quiz. And the expectation is And the expectation is that you will have 20 hours of work on a weekly basis. That means you'll have enough homework that, outside of the class, you need to do 20 hours of work, right? So learning the concepts. And we even give you a mock exam, a mock test for your certification, right? So we deliver this mock test to you in electronically, very similar to how you would have an actual SAP test, so that, you get a sense of what to expect. The if we if we go here, okay, I'll come to that. We'll give you some sense of the okay. The details of the test, right, at least for one of the certification exams, right, it's typically 80 questions, 3 hours, you get a lot of time, right? That means it's not really a race against time. Important thing is that do you know the answer, right? It's not like you'll be running short on time. It's conducted by Pearson VUE authorized testing centers, and Coach is a Pearson VUE authorized testing center, right? But again, you can take at whatever center is closer to you guys, right?
Are these multiple choice questions?
Yes, they're multiple choice questions, right? Yeah, these are multiple choice questions. Here is, our mock test, how we deliver it, right, electronically, right? There's some details on it available, right? So this is some of the people in the batch 45 taking it. We deliver it through QuizStar, which is a online mechanism to provide exams to students. Okay, and we have built these. We don't have one for HANA. This is the one for Netweaver, which has been built on Oracle. Available to you, and everyone will have to take this exam as a preparatory exam, right? And you see that it has the same 80 questions as in the real exam, right? We grade people, right? So this batch 46, when they took it, they didn't do very well, right? See the scoring, right? How many students had below 40%? Actually, this was when we had introduced this kind of an exam, right? So things have improved somewhat since then, but it is a difficult exam. We on purpose have made sure that questions are similar to what happens in the real exam, but slightly on the more difficult side, right? So that you prepare well. So here's an example of, so it's multiple choice, right? So we just erase the question here so that you guys don't see it, right? But there's some true and false questions. More important, and why it makes the exam difficult, is that SAP allows for more than one answer to be correct. Right? That means your ability to randomly guess significantly decreases, because more than one answer can be correct, and you get full marks only if you get all of them correct, right? Like in this case, BR tools, BR space, BR recover were all part of the answer. Right, so this particular individual name has been hidden, got 56 out of 80. And that would just pass you. Okay? Why do you want to focus on basis, right? Obviously you want to focus on basis is because systems administration, oh, did my screen sharing went away? Nobody mentioned that. Shoot.
I can see it.
You can still see your screen.
Oh, you can see it?
Yeah.
Well, I think something is wrong. What is wrong? Why is my live meeting not visible? Somebody was asking control of my live meeting a little while ago. What happened to my
Maybe
live
it's in the
meeting?
system tray.
Sorry?
Maybe it is minimized into the system tray.
No, it doesn't go there typically. No, it's not there.
The recording is
You
there,
guys
right?
Are you guys able to see my screen in live meeting?
Yes.
Yes.
Oh, interesting. And I can't see it anymore.
Do you see an icon on the top on the browser? The link icon? I mean, live meeting icon? Onto the right top. Yeah, maybe you can double click that.
This one, right? Yeah, but
Yeah.
Okay, let me see what I can. I'm going to start it again. Something is not right. Yeah, so let me remove my previous session. Now you guys don't see anything, right? Now you
Yeah.
see it.
Yes, the stream came back.
Yep, I'm now sharing it again. Okay, the recording is on. Okay, I like this better. Yep, we did that, did that. 7.3 and above, again, of Netweaver version. 7.3 and above. 7.4 in some cases, right? So we got various different instances. Because there's, yeah, you have not gotten all the material yet, right? You have not received all the material yet. You will continue to get it. You'll get HA 100, HA 200. Okay, so this is fine. These two are fine. Okay. Okay, SAP Technical Architecture. So, TADM 10_1 Unit 3 on SAP Technical Architecture. Sorry. Here. So, this is where we were, right? So, SAP System Administration in SAP is called Basis Administration, right? Netweaver Systems Administration as well, right? So, the word basis is old. SAP Systems Administration or Netweaver Administration is really called Basis. And Netweaver is the foundation for all SAP products. That's why if you learn that, you can administer all SAP products, right? The definition of Netweaver is given more clearly in SAP Tech Unit 1, page 16, right? So this material is also available. One second. No, I know what had happened. My keyboard stopped working. That's the reason I was not able to see it. My keyboard has stopped working, but I don't want to. I think I might have to reboot for it to start working again, but I want to avoid doing that. So let me at least, my mouse is working, so I think I can at least continue with the slide. This is for those who have got SAP GUI downloaded to connect to our ID0 system, which is running on HANA. These are the details you need, right? So these details are provided here for you. Connecting to the ID0 HANA system. This is the app server, instance number, and system ID. We'll send you a documentation on connectivity guide that will gonna give more details here, and then this is the user ID, password to connect to IH0 system. Right, to connect to the IH0 system, which is BW on HANA, BW on HANA. We talked about this in detail, the row and column store, but in the HA 100 on page 13, there is more details on row and column store. Some common transactions in SAP, right? I think somebody was asking earlier that, are the transactions between BW and ECC common? These transactions are indeed common between all of those systems, right? And I'll show some of these to you. Obviously, I need access to my keyboard to be able to show these, right? That's why I'm going to probably wait till the end to do that. We did some transactions. Actually, we did one which is not shown here, which is ST06 transaction and SMO4. Right, SMO4 is shown here, right? Okay. So the key transactions which you can do, once you connect to the SAP system. Few questions which we're going to come in a little while. Oh, my keyboard started working. Oh, but I didn't do anything. Okay, so that's good. We'll be able to come and do some of these things. In SAP, this is a small exercise, which you can do. Find a table, which is a row store, which is a column store, right? So I'll actually give this as an exercise for you guys to do on your own today, right? Based on what we have learned and some of the transactions which we look at. Some of the things which are frequently asked of us, right? And I know there are a few questions out there, so I'll go through some of these frequently asked questions, and then I take the 2 questions which we have from individuals as well. Okay. So what are the opportunities in SAP? So SAP happens to be the most lucrative and sought after field in IT, right? In fact, if you do SAP on cloud, then cloud administration or cloud-based systems is maybe the second or the third most lucrative aspect in IT, right? So if you can mix both of them, that's even better. And within SAP, basis is one of the most lucrative disciplines within SAP. And most of the trainees who learn the material well are able to find assignments or employment in a short time. And I'll give you an example of this in a little while. But is it easy? The answer is no. If it were easy, everyone would be doing it. There would be enough supply. And then once there is supply, right, then the demand is not there, and then the rates are not there, right, etc. Do you provide any certification? Yes, you will get a certificate after the training. However, the certification which you should really be after are the ones which we talked about, right? Because those are from SAP. Those are the ones which are coveted, right? And we are not shy in stating that you'll get a certificate after this course, but that's not the certificate you want. You want SAP certification. And to get SAP certification, you need to take our mock exam, you need to study the material well, and then register for SAP certification. Do you help with placement after the course is done? We do provide assistance in job placement after the training. And we have a full-blown program which we talked about, KPSO, Coach Placement Service Offering. Do you provide remote access to servers? Yes, 7 days a week, 24 hours a day from anywhere on the globe. How do you attend classes remotely? You all are attending it remotely today. You know, we have an in-class method as well, you know, at our Ramsey office facility. But more and more people just do it remotely, right? Because we have everything available remotely, right? And they find it much easier, especially people who use two machines, right? And I'll tell you why they use two machines. They use one machine to just have live meeting going on, or if they've got two monitors, they use extended view. In one, they've got live meeting going on. In the second, they're doing the exercises or the hands-on work in the class, right? Or taking their own notes. So this way, you know, they're able to just manage things more effectively if they're doing it from home. And then they don't switch between, you know, our training machines in our training room versus their own machines at home. It's just one machine and they just find it easier, right? But we are open to both. How long after training to have access to the server? 3 months, right? And after that, for a nominal fee, you can still continue to have access, right? We have hardly found, number one, we don't take it away after 3 months, right? We are not here to penalize you, we are here to teach you, right? Second is, 3 months is a long time. For people who are serious about this, they would have learned it, moved on. Case study, right? And this is where I said, to give you an example, right? If you need to, you know, so this is a case study based on a student, right? She was in batch 29, and there's a number of students with similar profile. It's just that this is the one I have picked up. You know, she took the course in 2010, April to June. She attended the KPSO October to Jan 2011, right? So there was some gap from June to October because she had some personal stuff going on. She got SAP certified in December 2010. She participated in KPSO, so we did the marketing and interviewing process, helped her with that. From Feb to March 2011. And on April 18, 2011, she joined Accenture in Toronto. So very recently, I met her at the SAP R conference, right? She's doing very well. What made her different, right? She was remote, right? Which is even better. She attended all sessions remotely, very focused, asked questions before start of every class, very active in the class, completed all homework on time, including the installation exercise, big one, right? And she got certified with 90% grade. This is her certification, right? I just taken out the name, right? So in December 2010, 90% in different areas. Her grade, I yelled at her for these two because we believe we teach these areas fairly well, right? But she didn't score that well in these areas, but she had a lot of 100% otherwise, right? So overall, she had 90%. This was with Oracle DB, right? And at that point in time, again, here's a view, right? This is where she took it. She took it in Canada, right? So this is just to kind of give you an example, right? That is doable. People are doing it, right? Your turn to ask questions. I think there's a few of them here. So let's start here. Yes, no matter where you are, right? It's all remote, right? Obviously, our ability to market in UK is limited, right? Because we are a US-based company. But our coaching and guidance is still going to be valid. if we do bad in this batch, can we join the next batch for free or at least yes?
I have a question.
I don't like that question though, because it's somewhat of a defeatist approach, right? So do not feel that you're going to do bad in this batch, right? Don't start with that temperament. But yes, a number of people have done it.
I have a question.
Yep.
What is the most populated area you would say in the United States with the most SAP opportunities as far as work-wise?
Yeah, so typically the areas where you find a lot of SAP opportunities are the areas where you've got a lot of companies which use SAP headquartered or, running their programs from. So you would find a lot of opportunities from Boston down till DC area, right, in that corridor northeast, especially for financial and pharmaceutical companies, and a lot of pharmaceutical companies, in fact, all of them have got SAP. And our own client base is pretty heavy in that corridor. You find a lot of them in California area, Houston area, Texas, Austin area, Houston, Austin, Dallas area. A lot of them in Midwest, specifically, Wisconsin area, right? Just because there's a lot of manufacturing companies there. Right. Omaha, Chicago. If you want to do consulting in the SAP world, you need to be willing to travel, because you'll find better opportunities if you're willing to travel. But then again, there's probably no place in U.S., where within driving distance, of 1 to 1.5 hours, you won't have big SAP implementations, because they're just so prevalent, right? And then a lot of the work can be done remotely as well. There is and I'm not sure if that still exists. Let's try and see if it still exists. So SAP has an SAP America's user group. Right, so if you go to this web page, so this is SAP's user group. Join ASUG and in here, so let's say you enter. I don't know, Merck. Right, you see Merck and Company. So start registration, but and then you can register underneath. But registration is not what's important here, right? What was important here was that if you know of companies in your vicinity, right, and whether they are SAP, whether they have implemented SAP, then they will be part of SAP's user group. So this becomes very easy to kind of just do a search and see that, so let's say if I want to know, does General Electric use SAP, right? The search came up, right? So I know that they use. Does IBM use it, right? Okay, and I know that they use it, so it took a little while, but it came up, right? I don't know, so we did Bristol Myers Squibb, BMS, right? Another big, okay, so maybe it's not like that, maybe it's like this. Yep, so Bristol Myers Squibb uses it, right? And then, you do a little bit of, A, right? what comes up, right? So you can kind of do searches slightly differently, right? So this is just a little cheap thing which I have, right? So I use it to kind of figure out, right? So you can kind of see some of the ones which start with A, right? So if you don't know, right, Accenture, ADP, right? So major, HANA, right, healthcare. Okay, so this gives you some sense, right? And you'll be able to figure out, which are big SAP implementations in and around your area. Don't tell ASAC about this, right? Okay. Is HANA administration fully command-based or GUI-based? It's got both GUI and command line interface, right? So anything you do at the OS level, which I was showing you, right? It's, if you're running it on a Linux or a Unix box, you need to know Linux, Unix. If it's on Windows, then it's graphical. And then if you're doing pieces on SAP GUI, it's graphical, right? But this is a technical area, right? The reason it pays you so well is because it's difficult to comprehend, right? A good basis admin is an above average DBA, an above average network admin, above average system admin, and a rock solid basis administrator, right? So I have never seen a good basis admin do anything else in IT, right? They typically just continue with that because highly in demand, very well paying, and very satisfying, right? And those kind of people, when they talk to somebody else, you can immediately see that, no matter whom they're talking in IT, they're talking very eloquently because they've got a very good mix of experience in different IT disciplines. Okay. Amrit has a question. Generally wants to know one thing. I'm working in service desk at HCL and I see SAP environments on an everyday basis. I handle the queries regarding the accounts of the SAP users globally and use T codes SU01. I want to ask that does this course include user? Yes, as well as SAP Light Creation. Yep, it does. In fact, Amrit, good question. And I'm very happy that you are wanting to invest in your future by taking a course like this. That means there's something within you which is kind of, driving you to take the next step. So, and I'll tell you now what. So SU01 is a transaction to create users. So typically, it's so ironic that you asked this question, and now I have to show you this exercise. We have an exercise, coach training material, exercise new, called role creation, right? So security role creation. Look at this exercise. So it's on security, right? So it will help you with security role creation. So PSCG is the transaction to create the security roles. So it lets you go through that process. And guess what? The role we create is Z-Batch Help Desk, right? So very similar to the role you might have where you're helping users with their logon issues, right? And we give in that role access to certain transactions for help desk purposes. Help desk role for user support, right? So if I increase this a little bit, help desk role for user support, right? And in there, we give them access to certain transactions. And guess what? One of those transactions will be, you see, we're giving access to transactions. Here we're going to list the transactions. SU01, SUIM, SP01, blah, 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 transactions, right? See, user maintenance transaction, we give access to that. And then we help them test this role, that does this role behave the way it should behave. So you must save the role first, and then we assign this role to a user using SU01 transaction, right? So this is for them to understand how this whole role works, right? So this is one exercise, but we have made it real life, right? So this is basically saying that you should be able to go to SU01, but you cannot create new users, you cannot give them more authorization. How do I give you that kind of a security as part of a help desk team? And, so this is a little bit more advanced at this point. And you see that, we are giving them here create, change, display authorization. Right. And then ability to test this role as well, right? So you have a full exercise based on this, right? And even before we started, one of the first things you will do is kind of create your own user. Then we have got log-on groups as well, right, which is related concept. So the answer is yes. And BW user as well as ECC user, right? Good. You'll go a long way. I'm glad that you're thinking this way. Deepak's question, and I've been holding off on this, but before I go there, it looks like somebody had a follow-up question. Somebody on the phone had a question?
Hi there. Can you hear me? I have two questions.
Yes.
Okay, good. So one question is just a follow-up question. I think someone asked you earlier if someone wants to take the training again because they didn't feel they did it right the first time or they needed more. Is that, and you mentioned yes, it is free. Is it completely free of cost or is it a discounted cost the second time?
It's a discounted cost. It's a discounted cost. Yeah.
Gotcha. And how much is that discounted cost? Is it 50% off, 70% off? Any
yeah, we typically we give 50% off on the course to take it again.
Okay.
And then the reason we have kept it this way is because sometimes people want to use that not immediately in the next batch, but maybe 2 batches later, so on and so forth. So by that time, the course has evolved significantly. There's new material, new version numbers, so on and so forth, right? So that's the reason.
Gotcha.
And in some cases wherein a person could not attend, right? Not because they found it difficult, because they had a personal situation which prevented them from attending, and we saw that they paid for the whole course and they just could not participate in any sessions. We then let them attend subsequently, free of cost. But we want to limit those kind of, right, that's on our own discretion. But we want to limit that because we want to make sure that you are not losing interest prematurely just because that option is there, right? We need to be a little strict. And as I said, we want this to be like school, right? Not like professional training, because professional training is, you learn if you want to learn, right? But right. Here we want to kind of, because you guys are spending your weekends, right? So we want to make sure that we put that extra oomph so that you really learn the material.
Right, true. The other question is, in terms of system access, I know we'll have access to the, your systems, your ECC systems and whatnot during the course, but how much long after do we have it after the course?
Yeah, 3 months.
3 months, okay, thank you. Okay.
Yeah.
Now, do you also offer a security batch? Like, I know you mentioned a little bit of security. Do you also offer security training, like a separate security training?
No, we used to. We don't do that anymore because there was not as much demand for it. But we can, for a nominal fee, give you our material from security if that's of interest to you.
Okay.
And the recordings.
Okay. And are you also gonna? Sorry, one last question. In terms of the course material, are you going to give us the PDF document that you showed, those TADM ones?
Yes.
Okay. Well, will it be sent out via mail, or do we download it from your portal or link or website?
Actually, there's not via. Depends, right? So either you're going to get a DVD or a download or a combination based on where you are physically.
Okay, sounds good. Okay, sounds good. All right, that's it. I'm good. Thank you so much.
So yeah, my name is Sam. I'm just calling. Oh, Sam, I'm calling. I'm just asking, which system is it best to have for operating systems? Is it Windows XP, Windows Vista? I see some people having problems with Windows 10, and I'm planning to put a a Windows operating system on my Mac. So I want to know which one is more compatible with all of the software we need to put on it.
Yeah, I think Windows 7 or Windows 8 would be the ideal. Don't do Windows 10. Windows 7 or 8 would be the ideal.
I'll do Windows 8. That sounds a little bit better.
Yep, that's good.
Okay. And one other question, Sam's question, it's a follow-up. Any possibility we can, I think some students, even myself, basically we had a Mac OS. We were struggling to get your Windows Live meeting. Is that a compatibility issue, or it's not going to work on Mac? Or do we need
it's a compatibility issue. And again, we have not invested too much time on it. So that's why I asked them all that question. If you knew of any students who have used Mac seamlessly with live meeting, right? So I would encourage, if you have the ability of using a Windows machine or having a Windows image on Mac, virtualized Windows image, we would recommend that, right? Because even if we get it to work, we got a number of other capabilities in live meeting we use where if you get stuck, I take control of your machine and see what you're doing, right? So I don't know if then we'll start having issues there or not, so on and so forth. So if possible, even just to minimize the issues, if you have a Windows machine, would encourage you.
Okay. All right. And what about for SAP GUI?
Has left the conference.
For
SAP GUI will work on Mac as well. There's a Mac version of it.
That's what okay.
Yeah. So that's not an issue. But if you're going to have a Windows machine available for live meeting, then just install SAP GUI there as well, right? So it'll be easier. But there is a Mac version of SAP GUI which we can help you with.
Perfect. Thank you.
That's good.
Yeah. And I think there is. Before I can get to Deepak's question, everything just pile up. Do we access to any material for DB2? DB2, the answer is no. HADR, I'm assuming if that means high availability and disaster recovery, is that what it means, Scott? If you meant by HA and DR, high availability and DR, then yes, that kind of material is going to get covered, but DB2 as a database is not going to.
Has joined the conference.
Is HANA and S4 HANA the same, or is there a difference? There is a difference. HANA just means HANA database on which you can run a lot of SAP products. Then S4 HANA, which means Suite for HANA, means that it's a version of SAP Business Suite which was designed specifically for HANA and leverages HANA in a special way. So that installation is different. Not that the installation steps are different, but the media is different. And most of the differences are not from a basis standpoint. Most of the differences are from the functionality and configuration standpoint. Okay. So Deepak's question, Yes. So Deepak, I think it is maybe just a version of SAP GUI which you're installing, because I'm using Windows 10 and I'm using SAP GUI. So we can help you with the latest version, 740. So this is 740 running on Windows 10. All right. So
I already have the latest version. But
sorry?
there was a SAP. I already have the latest version, but there was a SAP GUI that was provided in the Yahoo group, and that wasn't installing. But on my PC, I do have a SAP logon already, and I tried to configure the IB0 system, but it didn't work.
Okay. IB0, you mean?
Yes. Yes.
Yeah. Okay. So here's so this is a good example. So Deepak, you already have a latest version of SAP GUI. If you have the latest version of SAP GUI, you don't need to install what we provide, right?
Okay.
You just don't need to do it. You need to, however, configure the system which you need to access.
Okay.
When you configure IB0, which is this system, and let me open up its configuration. So this is how it is configured, IB0, right? My question to you is, were you at home or at work?
I'm at work.
Okay, so that's the reason. So at work, there might be a firewall which is set up which prevents access to port 3601, because the 01 here would go over the internet on port 3601 and 3201.
I'm able to ping that IP address. I am able to telnet to that.
Yes. Yeah. So, but you know, ping is ICMP protocol, works on a specific port. That port might be open, but this access happens on port. If you telnet, you have to telnet on port 3201 and 3601 and see if that lets you go through. Right? So to telnet that you need to do.
3201 connection failed.
Yeah. So that means it's blocking it. So that means it's blocking it.
Okay.
Yeah. So just for kicks, you should try it from your home ISP, right? And you'll see it will go through.
Okay.
Right. So obviously we can't, if at your work that firewall is set up, right? We can't help with that, right?
I'll just try it from home. I can get in.
Sorry?
I'm actually the network administrator. I'm actually the network administrator here. I don't know of anything blocking, because all the communication that goes out, it's open, all the ports on the firewall.
But so hold on. So this here, so when you do telnet for 54.227 245 127 colon 3201. In my case, I've not enabled telnet yet, right? So you need to see if this goes successfully, right? And 3601 as well. In my case, telnet is not enabled on my machine, which I'll do later on. I don't want to get in the middle of that yet. But that you need to make sure are enabled. And then also for kicks, just try to do the same from home. If you do from home, right, where ISP definitely does not block anything, you'll know that what the difference is.
All right, I'll try that.
And also make sure there's no typo here, right, in any of these things. Yeah. If,
okay, let me just compare it quickly. IBO 54.227.25.
It's not IBO, it's IB0.
IB0, yeah. Okay. Maybe 4.5.
In the description it does not matter, but in system ID that it matters. It's IB0.
Yeah, I got it. Now it's connecting. I think I got 245 instead of 245. I got 254.
Okay. All right. Okay, good. So, all right, that's good. So I think that both your issues are resolved, right? The setting as well as you're working on Windows 10.
Yep, that's right.
All right, good.
So you said Windows 10 is the best Windows to use, correct?
Sorry, could you repeat that question again, please?
No, I heard Windows 10, and I said, is that the best operating system?
No, I think Windows 8 is better in the sense that, whatever you download from our site, everything will work. Windows 10, you need a higher version of SAP GUI, that's why. But yeah, if you have a higher version of SAP GUI, or if you have Windows 10, we'll provide SAP GUI 740 and above for you to make it easy.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. But it will work on, Windows 10 is mainstream now, right? So SAP GUI will work on it if you have the latest version. And if you don't have it, we'll provide it to you.
Yeah, I was gonna, I'm just putting it on my MacBook, so I'm just gonna get the latest version of Windows 10, and if that's the case, then I'll just get the latest version. It makes more sense.
Yeah. So if we get 10, then yeah.
Okay.
So Scott, I'm deleting. Oh, I didn't know that. So you're saying that you can ask another question till I delete. So I'm deleting it now. What roles does this course prepare us for? Yeah. So that's a good question, Akeem. So this is preparing you for basis administration, also known as Netweaver administration, and more specifically for HANA administration, right, which is expected of any basis Netweaver administrator, right? So it is going for that profile. Now, some of you might already be doing some basis work. Like what Amrit mentioned, that he was doing more service desk, help desk kind of work in this space, wants to grow from there, so that's good. Somebody might be a network admin, wants to get into this space, they will find it easier. If somebody is a DBA, DBAs will find it the easiest, right? Because for them it will be a very natural progression. If you're an OS admin also, you'll find it easy. So the three areas, from which you find it relatively easy to get into basis is network, database, and operating system administration. I'm able to see the IV0 logon screen. What is the username, password, and let's see. And we have it here. And I have not checked recently if that is working, so we'll check it. Have it in one of these slides. Shishya, welcome. Is this not working? Shishya user ID, password, welcome. Okay, let's try it. Okay, it's not working. Let's see why. Password logon, no longer possible, too many failed attempts, so somebody might have locked it. Let me fix it. Okay, so it's very similar to what Amrit does. We'll do, which is SU01 transaction, and we look at user Shishya, display it, right? So this is user Shishya, logon data. Password logon not possible, too many incorrect logon attempts. So I'm going to change it. And locked. I'm going to unlock it as well. Now, go back, double click. Okay, Shishya, welcome is working now. I forget who had asked that question. Can try. Shishya, welcome. Fahad.
Are we going to be using the same username and password for everyone, or we're going to get separate ones?
No, it's for everyone. Shishya, welcome. Everyone can use that to log in, and then when we do the first exercise, you all will create your own user ID, and then that point onwards, you'll use that user ID.
Yeah, it's working now. Thank you. Hey, this is our first exercise, right? How to change password.
Yeah, you don't have to change this password. You have to create a new user, right? Don't do anything with Shishya. Shishya will not prompt you to change password because it's a user, it's a service user, not a dialog user. So service users don't require password to be changed on first logon. That's why it is set up this way.
Okay.
Okay. Where can we download the latest version of SAP GUI? We will have to update, because it has to be downloaded from SAP site, which you won't have access to, but we can download and give it to you the same way as we have given the current SAP GUI to you, right? So which we'll do if you have an issue with the current version. So let us know. You can send a note on Yahoo group, and then we'll make that happen. Okay, I have, Amit, you don't need to worry about the predefined systems. You'll be using IB0 and RP2 for the most part. And, when we start using them, I'll provide you with the connection details. IB0 we have already provided in this material itself. So that should be fine, right? And I'll show it in a little while again so that you feel comfortable. Okay, so IB0 details. For those who have got SAP GUI, IB0 details I've just shown a little while ago. Right, yeah, somehow the screen doesn't look good, I don't know why. But this is a description because I think I've changed the font. So description, application, instance, system ID. It is IB0. And not O. Okay. Okay. So you can connect to that. All right, Zishan, that's good. All right, so, I know we have been going for a little bit longer than what we typically intend to do. I think 2.5 to 3 hours, but, we have gone for 3.5 hours. But I hope, you guys have, including the break we had, you guys have had a good sense of the orientation. The way I teach or answer questions, knowledge or lack thereof, right? At least you'll have a good sense if this is the right thing for you to do or not. I can only tell a few things. Number one, invest in your future. The ROI on knowledge and training cannot be, matched by anything else, right? Cloud-based learning, SAP, especially SAP basis, is where the future is. So invest in your future. You'll learn a lot, but you have to be willing to spend the time because there's going to be a lot of homework. There's going to be a lot of exercises. You'll have to read a lot. You'll get stuck in things. You need to dig yourself out of it, right? This is not the kind of training, where you're learning Visual Basic or you're learning, a very small tool, right? This is far-reaching from that perspective.
Ajay, one quick question.
Yep.
Regarding HANA DR, disaster recovery, so would you be, describing about the DR requirements and the site to site, the distance or the bandwidth that is required? How do we calculate all those requirements? Would you be covering those as well?
Yes, we'll talk about HSR, which is HANA System Replication, and how that works, synchronous, asynchronous, and how do the bandwidth requirements change depending upon what kind of synchronous, asynchronous behavior you want to see, and then also depending on what kind of traffic you generate on your primary HANA system. And secondary replication, tertiary replication, yes, because that's HANA System Replication is a key capability of HANA.
Okay.
Right.
Okay, once the class is over, we're supposed to get with AMO to provide us all the CDs or the documents.
Yeah, I didn't understand the question. I understand the second part. Could you repeat, please?
Once this class is finished, we should call AMO to provide us the documents, or we should get them on the group?
No. Yes, so as long as you have sent the registration details and the registration fee to AMOL, everything is going to happen automatically after that. And if you don't receive it, you can send an email to AMOL separately. Right? But once your registration is complete, everything, AMOL will take care of providing everything. Okay. Yes, actually there is homework to complete before the first class. So Ratnam didn't ask any other questions, but this question was asked, and I think because I didn't go through, I think this is not where it ends. There are a few more slides. I think we were on this slide. And I'm glad that you mentioned that. The next two slides include the slide for the homework. And this presentation itself will be put on Yahoo Group. Oh, shoot, my Adobe crashed. Okay.
Hey, Ajay, quick question. So let's say we finish this ECC and BW storage, right?
How do you hold on for a second? Yeah, just hold on. So here is the homework which you guys need to do. Number one is register on SDN, which is SAP's Developer Network. It's free, right? So you need to register on it, right? And start using it. It's got a lot of good information on it. Also, keep help.sap.com handy. It's SAP's formal help site. Not easy to learn from, but it's a good reference if you need to validate or check something. Register on SAP Service Marketplace. This is only true for people who are an SAP customer, employee, partner, or an SAP certified resource. Once you get certification, you can do it. If you're none of these, then you won't be able to do it, which is fine. But if you are one of them, register. Ensure SAP GUI connectivity on, this is old ID 0. Make sure you have accepted the invite to the Yahoo Group and are receiving Yahoo Group emails. Put coach-inc.com and yahoo.com in your whitelist. Make sure you review the recordings of today's class. The recordings are going to be posted on Monday. It might even be earlier than that. So that's your homework, right? This is the contact detail, right? I think for you the most important contact is this and also your participation in the Yahoo Group, right? This is directory structure for SAP. Don't worry about this. I just put this there because in some of the previous batches, people had questions on this the very first day for some reason. All right, there was a question which I interrupted in the middle of. Could you ask that now?
Yeah, so I was asking one question, right? When we do the installation of BW and ECC, do you have some sample data to import us to play with?
Sample data for what kind of means the schema and the system will be fully functional as delivered by SAP itself.
I see. But it will be like a sample schema, right? There won't be anything in it, right?
No, that means a normal SAP system like an ECC system installed, vanilla system is close to 80 gigabytes, right? So it's a lot of stuff in there, right? So, and there's enough for what a basis admin needs to do, right? We are not functional people, right? So it's enough for what a basis admin needs to do.
Just for our homework purpose, right? Like to finish our exercises, there will be enough data in it, right?
Yes, yeah. Okay. So, even in our current system, right? So there's enough data, right? So if I do SU01, right, means how many users are there, right? So that if I want to even display a user, will I have the ability to display it, right? The answer is yes, right? There will be tons of users already created, right? So see, every batch is creating a user, blah, 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 right? So
are these seeded users we are seeing right now, or what?
Are these what users, sorry?
Seeded user, like they come with when you install the SAP, the user just the one you just showed, right, in the previous screen.
Yeah, there's some which come with SAP, some which we have created, right? So both, but most of them have been created. So there's no exercise which we have where we'll struggle for data, right? Most of the exercises you'll do on ID0, so the data is already there. So even if you do a client copy exercise, right? The whole client is being copied from one to another. There's enough data for it to be copied so we can see the behavior.
Okay.
So even when we do a system copy, right? We copy the whole system from one system to another. There's enough data for that to be copied for us to see the behavior. Other data like business data might not be there, but then again, that's not relevant to a basis admin, right? That is there a sales order in the system? Is there a purchase order in the system, right? Even though those are there as well. But, it's not as relevant, right? So if we go to the ECC system, the reason, and I don't know if you guys noticed, but the ECC system, this is the ECC system, the home page said SAP demo system. So this is an IDES, International Demo and Education System. So inherently in it has got, data created, right? So if I go to if I go to SU01, right, here you'll see more users, right? Because it's got all different kinds of things in there, right? Pre-configured. You see, accountants are there, right? AP manager, accounts payable manager, right? So because they've kind of created a dummy kind of a scenario, since it's an IDES system, and done by SAP, right? So IDES US, SAP AG, right? So see a lot of users, right? And behind these users is also the data which they have created, right? Is also, and if we go, let's say, logistics, material management, material master, material display. I'm just trying to see if there is some material in it, and I'm sure there's materials also already set up. But for a basis admin, it's not as much of a requirement. Right, so see these materials are set up, right? So there's a cockpit engine type, right? Missile, right? So this is some pharmaceutical, some high-tech industry materials already set up, right? Which one can look at. Material is, what your company is going to sell,
I got it.
right?
Yeah, I got it.
Right?
Thank you.
Okay.
Yeah, I got it. Yeah, it makes sense. Thank you.
Yeah. All right. Any other questions while this brings up? Bing, you will see the link posted for it on Yahoo group after the recording gets completed, because once I save the recording, Microsoft generates it. It takes a few hours. After that, Amol posts it. Most cases it will be there before Monday. Right, so this is the material information, which it retrieved. Right. All right. If no more questions, we'll end here. Thanks everyone for joining, and we will reconvene next to go through formal training. All right. Good luck. Bye bye.
Thank you.
Thank you.